Stop watching the news and start making some. The Charlie Kirk Show.
Okay, guys, I want to tell you about YRefi. That is YRefi.com, YREFY.com. Check it out right now at YRefi.com. If you guys have private student loan debt, this is the best way out. They are phenomenal supporters of our Student Action Summit, America Fest, our campus tours. Many clients are not able to make the minimum monthly payment on their private student loans when they first contact YRefi. If you go to YRefi.com, you can read testimonies from other people who have been where you are and how they've successfully escaped. Do you have a co-borrower? Well, YRefi can get them released from the loan. You can give mom or dad a break. Go to YRefi.com. You can even skip a payment every 6 months, up to 12 times without penalty. You don't have to ignore that mountain of student loan statements on your kitchen table anymore. Call 888-YRefi-34 or go to YRefi.com. That is YREFY.com. May not be available in all 50 states, so go to YRefi.com. If you have distressed or defaulted private student loans, they can get you out of debt. So if you know anybody in your life that might have student loan problems, private student loan problems, check it out right now at YRefi.com. That is YREFY.com. Email us as always, freedom@charliekirk.com. Subscribe to our podcast. We'll be right back. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Email us as always, freedom@charliekirk.com. President Donald Trump, major news today. He is federalizing Washington, D.C. I want to hear him in his own words here. Let me find our handy-dandy cut sheet here. Here it is. President Donald Trump took to the press briefing room early on a Monday morning to make the announcement, saying that enough of this crime and the third worldification of Washington, D.C., we're not going to put up with it. Let's play cut 304.
Today we're declaring public safety emergency in the District of Columbia, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's fantastic, is taking command of the Metropolitan Police Department as of this moment. And I'll be making the appropriate notifications to Congress.
Now, the 1973 Home Rule Act for D.C. explicitly allows the president to take control of Washington, D.C. police for 48 hours. No questions asked, as long as he believes that, quote, special conditions of an emergency nature exist. President Trump says that's the case and that D.C. has a public safety emergency. Now, in addition, the president can keep D.C. police federalized for up to 30 days as long as he notifies Congress and explains why. Right now, 30 days is the cap, unless Congress passes a new law that said it's not clear that anything that stops President Trump from controlling the police for 30 days, surrendering power for a day, and then federalizing them again. But there may be other arguments. Mike Davis was recently arguing that D.C. Home Rule Act itself is unconstitutional. We'll have to wait and see what the arguments are there. But the legal questions aside is, why is Trump doing this? You could say quite reasonably he has a lot on his plate. He's going to go, by the way, sit down with Vladimir Putin in Alaska this Friday. He's trying to fix Gaza. He's doing deportations and tariff negotiations and a lot more. So why is he looking to micromanage the nation's capital? Ronald Reagan ignored our nation's capital. George W. Bush ignored our nation's capital. Bill Clinton ignored our nation's capital. George W. Bush ignored our nation's capital. Barack Obama ignored our nation's capital. And Joe Biden ignored our nation's capital. Why? Because it's easy to ignore our nation's capital. It's just homeless people, slums being slums, and slumlords being slumlords, and it's okay if it has a higher crime rate than Mexico City and Bogota and Islamabad. No, it's actually not okay. President Donald Trump has always been a person very aware of symbolism. He's very visual. He cares a lot about the trappings of the presidency. That's why he liked putting on the military parade this summer, one that I supported. It's why he wants to build a big ballroom on White House grounds. A great nation should have a great presidential ballroom. So it really impacts President Trump to see the reality of our nation's capital city. We're supposed to be the world's greatest superpower, the leader of the free world. So why is our capital a joke, a mess, a disgrace? In 2023, Washington, D.C. had 274 murders in a city with a population of only 700,000 people. That's a murder rate of 39 per 100,000. That's nearly the murder rate of South Africa, where we're now taking refugees from, just so we're clear. and we should. In 2024, murders were down, but the murder rate was still 27 per 100,000. That's higher than the murder rate of Mexico, and it's 4 times the U.S. national average. Even if crime is dropping, the lower rates are still a complete and total humiliation and disgrace. Let's play cut 307.
We're formally declaring a public safety emergency. This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was, with graffiti all over the walls. It's another part of it, by the way, because we're talking about safety, but we're also talking about beautification. We have the most beautiful, potentially, capital in the world. We always had. But people come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come and then they get mugged. Not going to happen. Keep coming, because by the time you get your trip set, it's going to be safe again, and it's going to be clean very quickly.
Think of all the high schoolers that go to Washington, D.C. for the first time. What are we putting on display? Why is it that Tokyo, New Delhi, Havana, Cuba are safer than Washington, D.C.? Substantially safer. You can walk the streets of Tokyo at night. You can walk the streets of Seoul, South Korea at night. You can walk the streets of Kuala Lumpur. You can walk the streets of Singapore. But the fact that you cannot walk the streets of Washington, D.C. or New York City or Chicago is an indictment and a failure of our ruling class. Our ruling class has cared more about sending javelins and missiles to Ukraine while they have to walk over drug overdosed bodies on the way to go make a vote on the Senate floor. D.C. has long been ignored, and it is a perfect example of national decay, of collapse, of the lower morale. Oh, it doesn't matter. It does matter. Roll in the tanks, bring in the drones, send in the Marines. We're federalizing Washington, D.C. More in a second.